the opening information that I could have would be like how do we identify what patterns keep us stuck?
Hmm.
Maybe that would be a question that people have. And so part of it is drawn from my understanding that through the sixth chakra we're all connected, and so in the sixth chakra we can see patterns of that repeat through our lives and with other people, and that it's not like I've seen other people where they just identify previous lives as kind of like an interesting thing, but what we're trying to do is actually kind of like resolve karma and to help people come fully into the present without dragging the past with them, to kind of complete whatever lesson is not completed. And we do that through the sixth chakra, in my understanding and experience.
Hmm. Well, I don't want to bum people out, but recently I've realized, that because I grew up in a family of four and three of them have narcissistic personality disorder, I just have been feeling very disempowered generally.
Right.
And I don't know if that's a good topic for today.
Yeah, that's a great topic for today. Yeah, so the sense of disempowerment that feels like it's embedded, that it's coming from the past. Yeah. So let's go into that. And so your body is kind of raising this up. It feels like your body is saying very strongly, like, I need to be freed of those patterns. I don't want to be trapped in that anymore. And
Mhm.
so your being is right on board with you, not wanting to be trapped in that pattern.
Excellent.
And then also recognizing I need help. Like I can't do this by myself. Like it's almost like in a way like there's a veil that's hard to kind of like see through, and so that it's hard to kind of like make your way on your own to find resolution. And
Hmm.
so your body is like recognizing that you need help, and also ready for the change, ready for the help, ready for things to be different in your life. And so
Oh, that's
say the
great.
say the words again that you started with.
I just have a general feeling of disempowerment.
Disempowerment. All right. So let's ask the original time that you had that sense of disempowerment. That's not actually exactly the right. Um, so a better way to phrase it is that the first time that you had your empowerment seized. And so, we could phrase it a lot of different ways, but I'm just going with what seems to be a better way to say it. So the original time you had your empowerment seized. And so this is prior to conception. This is a previous life. So we'll see the time period, 900s, 913. So in the story is taking place in 913. You were represented by a boy,
Hmm.
7-year-old boy in the story. Was your mom in the story? Yeah. Was she represented as your mom, as a neighbor, as a female neighbor? So you were a 7-year-old boy. Your mom was represented as a female neighbor in the story. Not your dad was not in the story. Someone else. So it's basically between you and your mom. Oh,
Nothing with my brother.
no, not for this. This was an abusive situation. She was like a pedophile
Um,
in the story, and just stripping you of your power, stripping you of your innocence, and just a terrible, terrible situation. And something in you broke, and something in you said, I am subject to her whims. It really felt like a whim, not like a strategy. It just felt like a whim. And there was something in you that broke and said, I am subject to her whims. I don't have my own power. I am subject to her power. And so we want to honor that story. We want to honor that experience, those how terrible they were. And we also want to call back that sense that you had before 7, where you were in a place of power. You were a kid. You had the power that a kid has, which is like be carefree and playful and not having to worry about your power being stripped. It's just doing your daily life. Yeah. And so we're calling back that sense of really innocence, playfulness, that sense of not having to worry really about being empowered or not. Because a little kid doesn't think, oh, I'm empowered. They don't think that. They just think, oh, I'm a little kid. I want to eat. I want to play. I want to whatever. So we're calling back that innocence, that time before 7 when your power was stripped away, wrested from you. And heal that life, heal that experience. And there's something in you that almost is reluctant because at least you had you had it's like you weren't lonely. At least you had company. At least you had a companion. And so it sounds like you were like a lonely child in
Mm.
the story. You felt alienated and isolated in the world. And that at least you had like human interaction. And so there was something that was valuable in that, in being seen, like that, something that you appreciated. And almost like
Mhm.
a sense like if I need to be seen. I want to be accompanied. I don't want to be alone. And maybe that's the only way I can be accompanied is if I accept disempowerment, then at least I'll be in relation. So we want to honor those feelings that that child had. And there's something that's welling up inside that child that's fear of being alone. Like it feels so bad to be alone. It's almost like I would do anything to prevent myself from being alone. A very vulnerable child. I don't want to be alone again. I never want to be alone again. So what we want to do is go back and talk with that little boy and tell him, you don't have to give yourself away to be accompanied.
Mm.
You don't have to allow your power to be stripped from you to be okay. You don't have to be hurt to be with people. So that's the one. I don't need to be hurt to be with people, to be
Mhm.
in relationship. I don't need to hurt to be in relationship. That's the key. That's the key. I don't need to hurt to be in relationship. And there's something in you that's like, oh, I thought that was true. I thought relationship and being hurt just went together.
Mm.
I don't have to hurt to be in relationship. Relationship doesn't have to hurt me. And so it's like almost like mind blowing, just like, wow, I never conceptualized that possibility. I don't have to hurt to be in relationship. Relationship doesn't have to hurt me. And now there's a pulling back. There's like, I'm not sure. Like, I don't really see evidence for that. How can I trust that that's true? And so we want to honor that aspect of self that's seeking evidence and that's reticent because it feels like a risk. It feels like a leap. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so we want to honor that child that's pulling back and is feeling like, well, at least this I know. At least this
Mhm.
is this is something hurtful that I know what to expect. I know how to deal with it. I've practiced. And I'm afraid if I take the leap into the possibility that I can be in relationship without being hurt, that I will be hurt. And then
Mm,
it'll really not be good.
mhm.
There's something I can't let go. Mhm. The future self. You're trying to protect your future self. You're trying to protect your future self. Yeah. So protecting the future self. So honoring that part of you, it's like tenderness, like cariño. Like you're very tender with your future self. It's almost like sacrificing your current self to protect your future self.
Mm,
And so let's work with that a little bit, and the idea that I don't have to sacrifice my current self to protect my future self.
mm,
I don't need to sacrifice my current self to protect my future self. And so again, your being is like, but I don't know how to do that. And so the first step is entertaining the possibility that relationships don't have to hurt. That's the first step. I don't know how. And so this is where that perception comes in, where first we start with misperceiving, and then we go into correct perception, followed by knowing. And so
mm,
really, in order to surround ourselves with safer people, we need to come into correct perception and finally knowing, right? That's what keeps us is better at keeping us safe than just avoidance or making do with a bad situation. So I can learn to perceive correctly, and I can learn how to know, so that I will be less likely to come into relationship with potentially hurtful people. Yeah. And so your body, your being is like, but I don't know how to do that. And so that goes back to the standard, first be still, and out of stillness comes knowing. After that, we act, and lastly, we feel. And if you cannot be still, then we go back to the breath. 3 seconds in, 7 seconds out, 6 times a minute. And that's how we gain stillness. And naturally, out of stillness, knowing arises so that we can see clearly what situation is right for us. I can practice stillness. Stillness arises from the breath. I can practice the breath. The breath is simply 3 seconds in, 7 seconds out, 6 times a minute. You can come back to the breath many times a day, and eventually it'll just be the natural breath. From stillness arises knowing. And I will have a sense of stillness and well being as I move through my life and am able to create a, a network of relationships that are healthy and healing for me. Yeah. It's okay if it takes practice. It's okay if it takes time. I am not stuck. I am not eternally wounded. I can heal. My life can be different. Relationships don't have to hurt me. All is well. I take back my power. I take back my power through the breath. The breath is what empowers me because stillness stillness is like the throne of power, right? Stillness is where we should be seated because then we get spherical vision. We get spherical insights. Spherical insights arise out of stillness. And so that's where the seat of power is, in stillness. And stillness arises from the breath. And so imagine coming into that 3-7 breath and that transporting you into stillness. which is this eternal seat of power that we, each one of us, are meant to reside in so that we can have clarity, knowing. Out of knowing, we act. Out of acting, finally, then lastly, we feel. When we feel disempowered, then what we know is that we're we're doing things backward, right?
Mm.
And so that means that we need to go back to the breath and come into stillness. Anything else here? Power, being empowered is my natural state. Being in healthy, healing relationships is my natural state. I can learn, I can heal, I am not stuck. The past is resolved. I bring myself fully into the present. I let go. I am love and I am loved. Very good. Yeah. Do you have any questions or insights or anything you want to share? It's okay if you don't.
No, all of that really hits the issue right on the nose. I have always been a very shallow breather.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we feel it as protective. We use it as a protective mechanism, but it's really not where our power is.
Mm. Yeah, everything was 100% accurate for me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Is there anything else? We have 40 minutes.
I know there was something else. For some reason it's not on the front of my mind right now.
Okay.
I'll say this just to get your perspective, hopefully. I was at an annual picnic recently with friends,
Uh-huh.
and the person who organizes it for everyone is, you know, a very Zen spiritual type of person. And she's just sort of stood up and announced that she believes that we all choose our current lives. So we
Uh-huh.
can heal stuff from the past. And that felt very painful for me because so many bad things have happened to me in this lifetime
Yeah.
that it felt like blaming. And all I could do was sit there and be silent because I didn't know what would happen if I opened my mouth.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Did you did you take time to reflect on that and sit with that when you got home in a safe environment
Not
and
really. I
find out
mean,
why it felt like blaming?
so I understand the whole idea that if we blame other people for the situation we're in, we're abdicating our power. We can't change what has happened in the past, but we can take this moment and start making new choices for ourselves that are empowered. And I understand that. But somehow it's what she said from my own personal experience. I mean, not only was it offensive to think that I would have chosen this, and now having this session with you, I can sort of see why. Being born now, I can have these sessions with you and I can get healing, which is invaluable. But it also was just sort of, I don't know, I lost it. For me, it overlooked in my own personal situation the grooming that narcissistic relatives put you through.
Right.
And when you're growing up, your family is supposed to prepare you for life. My family
Ah,
gave me life and they sustained my physical life, but they didn't prepare me for life, or they didn't prepare me
right.
for a good life. You know, they
Right.
prepared me to be the scapegoat in their narcissistic drama and to be overly responsible for other people and to never think of myself and
Yeah.
to accept maltreatment. And
Mm,
when you move out of your family's home, narcissistic abuse doesn't stop. As long as you are in contact with them, they will continue to perpetrate narcissistic abuse. And it took me 60 years to begin to suspect that that was the situation I'd come out of. And it's been only 3 years since then, and it takes time to heal. But I do feel like I don't have the basics in place to know what constitutes a healthy relationship and
Mm-hmm.
how to spot the bad guys, as it were, and how to
Right.
avoid them, and maybe even do it gracefully rather than going all New Jersey on them, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of healing and learning and whatnot to do yet. But what she said didn't sit well with me.
Right. Yeah. So, so I don't know really if we choose or how we choose or, how life, the situations we're born into come about. And so, and so maybe we could ask and find out why your why you had that response, why it felt like blaming. Do you want to do that or no?
Sure.
All right. So think about that gal saying that people choose their lives, however difficult and abusive and gruesome, right? There's so many people have such difficult lives so many times
Yeah.
that and that why so so people so say her saying that people are actually choosing that and then you getting this sense of being blamed for the life that you've lived
And
for
you know what,
for having
Nels?
come into a narcissistic non-caring family.
And with what you're saying now, one thing that's coming up for me is when she said it, it felt tone deaf and uncompassionate.
Uncompassionate and blaming the
Yeah.
victim.
And there's something really cool I'd like to share. Years
Yeah,
ago, when Oprah had her daily talk show, her weekday talk show, she had a
yeah,
guy on one time named Stephen Stosny. He's a PhD in psychology. And he had grown up in a family where the dad abused the mom. And he said to his mom one day, "Oh, I've learned something. I understand now why dad hits you. It's because he has power and control over you." And she
mm,
explained to John that we know a lot of people who have power and control over someone else, but don't abuse them.
oh, good point.
And, they made a list of several examples. And they said, but, it's not the fact that someone has power and control over you that makes them abuse you. It's if there is a lack of compassion. So if they have power and control over you, but no
Mm,
compassion, that makes the difference between whether they abuse or not, because in the absence of compassion, there will be interpersonal abuse. But if you have compassion, you
mm,
can't abuse someone. So
yeah.
when she said that, it felt tone deaf and uncompassionate. It
Oh,
sort of touched uh, an old wound.
sure. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. And I think, a lot of times in different spiritual communities, it's not even almost something that's reflected on. It's just kind of like an accepted fact
Mm,
that we choose this life and the scenario we enter into. And so she may not, you know, have even entertained the possibility of compassion. Well, she's not trying to be mean. It just was not in her lens. You know what I'm saying?
sure.
And so then it felt like blame and it felt discompassionate because she hadn't created a broader possibility maybe in the statement. But one thing too is possible is that you if it didn't ring true to you, you wouldn't have necessarily needed to let it in, right?
Tell
It
me
could have
again.
just been, oh, that's what that lady thinks. But
Oh,
somehow it got let in and it felt like blame.
mm,
And so that's what I'm kind of curious about. Like, why was that let in? And so that it could feel like blame instead
Okay.
of just be like, oh yeah, to each their own, believe whatever you want, lady.
Gotcha. And I
And
was also thinking about the other people in the group
yeah,
because I know that they all have had really difficult things in their lives.
yeah.
And why are you standing there sort of as the group leader going, y'all have chosen this?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. So in a way, you were maybe protective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, that seems like a slightly different role or thing to explore. The idea of being protective of the group or of others, and then also the idea of receiving a perceived blame
Yeah.
instead of just letting it slide off your back.
Hmm.
Do either of those sound like things you would want to explore?
Yeah, I would love to learn the whole sliding off your back thing.
Oh, it's sliding off your back. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's find out why this lady's statement was kind of felt as a dart, like a blaming statement, rather than just being something that, eh, to each their own.
Hmm.
Somehow it got in a hurtful way. So okay, so there's this sense that people in authority like know more than you do or are more right than you are, or that you have to let them penetrate in a way, and kind of like their ideas their ideas are obviously going to be like more right than yours, almost like you don't have a membrane around you to protect you from what people in authority say is
Mm.
true or right or something like that,
Hmm.
which would make sense, given the background that we talked about, that
Right.
that is a piece of your protective sort of layers that was never elaborated, you know?
Hmm.
And so it's just like, believe me, do what I say, trust me, that there's no, like you say, the self-empowerment. And so
Mm.
this is actually kind of like building on that
Sure.
idea, like to be self-empowered means that I can ascertain whether what somebody says resonates with me or not, or if I just let it go.
Yeah.
And so let's see if there's a layer of the field that needs to be elaborated that will enable you to kind of like a net, right? That will enable you to catch the things and kind of slough them off without allowing them to penetrate. The things that
Hmm.
don't seem like that doesn't really ring true for me. Yeah. And so there's a layer of of self-efficacy, or of deciding for the self, of being able to ascertain for the self what's right. And so we'll work on building that energetic layer. And so then to strengthen it and to help it mature, let's find out what needs to be done. So, what needs to be done is slowing down, and don't go on automatic. Do your best to come out of any kind of automatic drive that you're on, whether it's like brushing your teeth or preparing a meal or how you get in your car. It's almost like you need to slow down a lot and notice that every moment of every day is about choices,
Mm.
but we automate those choices because we want to move through life more quickly, and because we've done it so many times and we don't need to think about it. And so this is just like an exercise to help you elaborate that network around you so that you come into a position of authority yourself. And so when you slow down and you notice, oh, I'm making a choice to hold my toothbrush with my right hand. I never really thought of that as a choice. I just always held it with my right hand. What would
Mm.
it be like if I hold it with my left? Oh, that's kind of hard to do. I'm not used. Do you know what I mean? I'm just
Sure.
giving you that as an example.
Cool.
And so the way that we elaborate this network of self-efficacy is first by slowing down and noticing that that we're we're kind of on automatic and not making decisions about things we could be making decisions about. So who knows, a few days or a week, something like that. Just, you'll come in and out of it. But this is a way of noticing small everyday things and giving yourself options where you don't now because you just done it a million times. And
Mm,
that will open up the possibility of giving yourself options too for, when people of authority say things, how you receive those, if you receive those, if they just fall off to the side. Do you follow what I'm saying?
absolutely.
And so it's kind of like a game to start with, just to see, just it's an experiment with the self. And then it'll blossom. You'll build confidence as you work with these small everyday things, and then you'll stop yourself if a person in authority says, well, this is really the way things work. Then you'll be like, well, maybe for you, but for me it might be this other thing. Or you might be like, oh, that's true. Or there's a million different things that you could respond. You
Mm,
don't have to let it penetrate. That's
hmm.
just like an automation that you have right now because of
Right.
your past, because you never learned how to do it any other way.
I wasn't allowed to question authority. I had to subjugate
No.
myself to them.
Yeah, you had to. You were like, yes, sir. No, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Step two.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that seem?
It's really interesting because I can see how that would just generalize, this slowing down and questioning everything would just generalize. And if I'm doing it in a conscious manner, then I
Yeah,
don't think I'm going to become closed-minded, which
exactly.
was a fear when you started talking about it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, yeah. It becomes like a game. It becomes well, what about maybe I don't have to brush my teeth in the bathroom? What would it be like if I brushed my teeth in the kitchen?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
whatever, you know. Someplace different every day.
Oh
Like,
gosh, yeah.
just
And that has a playfulness about it, which was not part of my experience in that family.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You weren't allowed to be that child who was playful.
Hmm.
And so it's almost like something you need to call back into yourself.
Right.
And so it's like learning how to play, giving yourself an assignment to play.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's so liberating and it's so exciting. And
Oh, I'm
it
so
just
happy.
it I don't mean to make this sound like a bummer, but it sort of like creates the possibility of having a life filled with joy.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. Yeah. We are called to joy.
Wow.
We are called to joy. There is no higher achievement than joy. We're
Hmm.
designed for it.
That's amazing. Especially in this day and age when you look around and see the news, it can be
Hey,
difficult to have a sense of joy.
that's right. Yeah. It's easy to forget that that's our calling, independent of circumstance,
Mm,
independent of circumstance.
yeah.
And it's a practice like stillness
Hmm.
because it's like the fruit. It is the fruit of stillness,
What is the fruit of stillness?
joy.
Ah,
Just like stillness is non-circumstantial, right? The practice, it becomes we're just become rooted in stillness so that we don't have to be perturbed by circumstance,
mm,
so that we can be eventually, in this steady state, or more and more of the time in this steady state where things that are going on around us, not that we're not affected by them, but that they don't perturb our stillness. We still engage with life, but we do it from a place of stillness instead of
Mm,
from a place of fear or anger or resistance or, whatever. It could be a million things.
yeah, that's powerful. Power.
It's power. You got the power, girl. You got the power. I love
That's
it.
so cool.
Yeah, and they're just simple practices, but 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 they are practices, right? Just things that we have to keep coming back to because we weren't entrained in it when we were little.
Mm,
So 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 in anthropology, we have we have a word for when you're little, then you take on the practices and norms, the behaviors, the language, the perspectives of your group through a process that's called enculturation, which is
mm,
invisible to you. You
mm.
don't know that you're becoming enculturated to be like the people around you. But when you're a grown up and you're put into a new situation and you have to figure out, wow, now how does that work? How do people behave? What's going to be, I don't know what to do. What's the language? All that is acculturation. It's a different kind of learning. And it's a
Oh,
learning that's top down instead of bottom up. And
huh.
so that's kind of what we're doing right now. We weren't trained in this stillness and joy. And so now as grown-ups, we have to unlearn what were survival strategies from before and come into this place like, oh, this is my true calling, to be in my seat of power, which is stillness. And out of that arises joy.
Mm-hmm. And it comes back to the breath.
Comes back to the breath, man. And thank God that's the design of the body is to breathe 3 seconds in, 7 seconds out, 6 times a minute.
Yeah, it feels so different.
Yeah, yeah. And we've always got it with us. We don't have to have a special tool or anything.
Yeah, it's just the power of choice is just free to do if you choose it. I remember years ago hearing Iyanla Van Zant say that our power lies in our choices, and that was revelatory for me.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of times we think the choices are big, about big things. We forget there's lots of little things we're constantly making choices about. Yeah.
Which is why it's so important to live consciously
Mm-hmm.
and
And
choose
why it's so
consciously.
right and why it's so hard to do that if we're moving through life very quickly.
Mm, yeah,
Almost like we get in front of ourselves, when we move so quickly, we don't have a chance to be conscious because we're automatic.
right.
Does anyone have anything else?
This is Julie. This really resonates with me. Everything that you said, I can see that throughout my growing up as well. So I just thank you for sharing. Um, and I will share something. I know we have a few minutes left, but I think I'm 55. Grew up with four older brothers, and I was abused by one of them between about 7 and 12. And um, I then got a boyfriend in ninth grade. Right after we graduated high school, I got pregnant. He left after that. And then when my son was 4, I met my current husband. And my current husband at the time, I didn't know, well, for like 18 years, I didn't know that he had Asperger's. And
Mm,
we've been married for 32 years. But uh, so that's just kind of a little or a long, I don't know, synopsis of my life. But I like when you use the word stuck, um, I do, I guess in my relationship now, I do feel kind of stuck. I don't like I understand the Asperger's. One side of my brain understands that. The other side is like, it's so frustrating for me. So I don't know if you
Yeah.
can speak to that. I know that was a lot, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I'm just tapping into that. Um, yeah, and so there's like this push and pull in you that's like, I feel stuck. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. And yet there's another part of you that's like, but it's familiar. And so I'm kind of used to it. I know that. That's the known. So it's
Mhm,
kind of like a push and pull between the known and the unknown. Like, what would it be like if I were in a different situation, or if I handled this situation differently than I have for 30 years?
mhm.
And there's something in you that's like, I don't want to entertain that. I don't want to take the risk. I don't
Yes.
want to I don't want to rock the boat. Something bad can happen if I rock the boat, and it's almost like you're talking yourself out of it. You're like, "Oh, but this is good enough. Like this, what's so bad
Yes.
about it? Like,
That's
come
I
on, it could be
exactly
worse."
have
Like,
thought. This is good
yeah,
enough. Hmm.
yeah. And yet there's something in your soul that aspires to more, like it wants to break free, like it wants to blossom. It's like I can feel that there's something bigger. Like I could be bigger. Like my experience could be bigger. And it's almost like you're pining for that. Like it's a very like physiologic pining, like aching for something like, oh, I want to break out of this circumscription. It's too tight. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't suit me anymore,
Hmm.
and I don't know how to do it, and I'm afraid of doing it, and I don't want to hurt anybody, and I don't want to wreck anything. And so now, that's a lot of like, wow. And so what we want to do is find out the original, right?
Hmm.
And so just finding out there's an original, yes. So this is all stemming from something else, that's a previous life.
Hmm.
13th century, 1330, 1335. In this story, you were represented by a monk. And
Hmm.
it's like you were like drunk on love for God. Like you were crazy, crazy in love for God. Like you had like this very direct connection to God. And it's almost like it was almost like you had, I can feel it like on the left side of my head, like a direct channel to God, like really plugged in. And
Wow.
just like this, like just like, being high or drunk, just it felt so good to have that connection with God. And also it felt very, very good, but it also didn't allow you to act. Like everybody else was like, what is going on with him? He is not cleaning the floor like he's supposed to. He is not saying the prayers. He is not doing what he's supposed to be doing. And you were like, I'm zened out by being in constant touch with God. Blah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like you forgot the mundane. You forgot like what was it like to engage in the everyday ordinary activities of life. And so then what happened? And so there was something in you that was just like, I don't care about the physical anymore. I don't care about fitting into the community. I don't care about pulling my own weight. I just want God. I just want to ascend. I just want, this relationship. And so the monk community was just like, sorry, buddy, you're not doing your job. And so you're out of here. And so they kicked you out. And of course, you were just like not able to survive on your own. And so you died. You went into like, you found like a little cave where you could be zenned out, but now there's no food. Now there's no fire. Now there's no warmth. Now there's the animals. And so you got so zenned out that you couldn't survive in a physical world and you died.
Hmm.
And your soul Tacoma message was like, um, don't ask for too much. Don't try to have that soul expansion because you can't make it on your own. You really need to be you need to be in this physical network that's supporting you. You can't you can't take the risk of disrupting the community. You
Mm.
you can't go for what feels really good and right because you'll die. You can't make it on your own. And so that was the take home message from that life that you're kind of working off of now. And so
Uh-huh.
we want to honor that take home message. And there's still something in the back of your mind that's just like, wow, that felt so good to be in constant communion with the divine, to be in this very expansive state. Like that's what you're pining for, is that expansive state that felt
Mm-hmm.
so good, where you're just whole in unity, one. And so we want to honor that experience, and also you kind of being like, I cannot go there again. I cannot take that risk. I don't want to die again. I'm going to have to figure out how to make it work in community, reel myself in, stop wanting so much. What's up with this pining? I need to kind of narrow myself a little bit so I can give myself this treat and that treat, and that's okay. But to really have that, no, not the expansiveness. That's too big of a risk for me.
Mm, okay. Yeah.
And so we want to honor that story and how it's kind of been brought in and kind of elaborated in this life.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, we want to allow for a healing of that story, right? So we don't have to choose either or, right?
Mm-hmm.
To allow for a healing of that story. And there's something in you that's like, no, I don't want to heal it because that feels very scary. I don't want to I don't want to take that risk of alienation from the community. I cannot do that to myself again. That was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like, I need to be true to my community. I chose this community after all. Like, why would I leave this? I chose it. I've made it. I've nurtured it. It's part of me. I'm part of it. Yeah. So we want to honor that. And we want to explore the possibility that there's a middle way, the possibility that it's not just either or. There can be
Oh,
other options that have not yet been perceived or imagined or explored, that is just not one thing or the other.
okay.
And there's something in you also that's pulling back that's like, I don't want to go there. I would rather just be stuck than have to imagine other possibilities that are not just like daydreams. Like it's okay to imagine daydreams, but
Mm-hmm.
actually something that could be acted upon, like that feels dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And especially like the danger is that you don't want to be rejected. Like it's one
Yes.
thing for you to be like, I'm making the decision to do things like this. It's another thing for someone to be like, no, that's not working for me. Goodbye. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's like very, very, that's trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the idea is like, be like kind of like what we've been talking about, like the idea that I can be in control. That's the thing that's important for me, is to be in control, even in a bad situation. If I understand the
Mm-hmm.
ins and outs of a suboptimal situation, I can work it. I can be in control. I can feel like it's okay because I understand it. I know how to work it, and that I should settle. And that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Why would anybody want anything more than that?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a whisper in your ear, which is, but I want
Yeah.
more. And so we want to honor that middle way which is not one way. It's just opening to new possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
possibilities that are not imagined, that are not either or. I'm so afraid. I can't do that. Original. So let's go to the original of that because that one also keeps coming up. Age 5, age 7 with the
Mm-hmm.
assaults plural, out of my control. I need to be in control. I will do whatever I can to be in control. So like that idea of being in control is the most important thing for safety. And that's what you didn't have as that little child. You were you
Mm-hmm.
were you were subject. And
Yeah.
so in your child's mind, you said being in control would be the thing that could save me from this. And so when I'm big enough, when I'm old enough, when I'm strong enough, when I'm able, I will
Mm-hmm.
be in control and that will keep me safe.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. I feel like that.
Yeah. And this it's like it comes with an aching heart, like the heart that's broken. I can't go on hurting like this, like a breaking heart. This is
Mhm.
hurting me. It hurts so deeply. And something in you that's like, I can't take the pain, the heart pain. I need the control to take away the heart pain.
Mhm.
And there's actually at that time as a small child, like a fear, like this means I'm going to have to be in control all the rest of my life. And so there's something in you that like recognize the limitations of control or
Mhm.
the limitations of perceived control or attempting to be in control.
Yeah, it's
And
exhausting.
it's exhausting.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's exhausting. Yeah. And yet that child, that tiny child, recognized this as the way out, the way to safety, even though she saw the limitations of the pursuit. It was the only thing that her 7-year-old brain could conceive of as a remedy. So we
Hmm.
want to honor that tiny child who was trying to find a way out. Honor her and how she did. She survived. She made it through. She found her way out, and that is laudable. That is laudable. And now, as a grown up woman who has lots of experience, lots of talents, lots of skills, that now you have more possibilities than that 7-year-old child could ever dream of. And that there is something in you that wants to explore and wants to expand beyond what that 7-year-old child imagined would give you safety and freedom.
Hmm.
So we want to bless that child, bless that 7-year-old self who kept you alive, who allowed you to persist into the adult woman that you are. and and now as that grown-up woman to recognize your depth of experience and insight and skills and talents that you want to explore and you want to go beyond the 7-year-old self and that you can do it in a way that's safe and right for you as a grown-up. So it's not an either or. Now there's a plethora of options and it is safe for me to explore options. I am not,
Hmm.
I am not stuck. We bless the past, bless how it brought you into the adult woman that you are now, who is able to expand in a way that allows your heart to grow and that you can find a way that's right for you, that you are not stuck. And it's okay to experiment, and you are safe now. I can find my way. My life
Yeah,
is not either or.
I love
Not
that.
It's not too late and it's not too early. Now is the perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
I can know what's right for me. I can do what's right for me. All knowing comes out of stillness.
Mm-hmm.
I can be still, and knowing arises out of that stillness. If I can't find stillness, I go back to the breath.
Mm-hmm.
3 seconds in, 7 seconds out, 6 times a minute.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I love that.
You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Julie, as you were talking, I think that one thing we might have in common is a sense of needing to be over or choosing to be, I don't know, overly responsible in our lives.
Mm.
And it when you were talking about your husband having Asperger's, it also made me think about relationship expert John Gottman, and I wondered if he had any resources that might help you. I put something in the chat, and I don't know if it's relevant or helpful, or maybe it'll just be the first link that leads you to something that would be good for you. But I wanted to provide that in case you might be interested.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Oh,
Anything else? It looks like we're at the end of our hour.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
yeah,
I'm
really.
grateful too. I know it's vulnerable to come into a group and share. I hope it felt safe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good week.
You
Thank
as
you.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.